We got the Virgo full moon, and it's going to be a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. We are illuminating and shining light on 4 to 5 things in this video. Okay, here's my list. 1, Magha Nakshaktra and how it's the moon in Magha in Vedic and running alongside. 2, all 12 zodiac signs and a little mini forecast. If you want a deeper insight, you can come and check me on a one-on-one personal reading. 3, there's a major halt and release of love within the family, flat out. Okay. 4, you have a trine to Jupiter. Jupiter and Taurus will be trining this moon in Virgo, and that's going to be major. And 5, the sun is shining light on the 6th house, okay, for Pisces. His sun ruling the 6th house of Pisces, helping us understand these psychological influences that are essentially these dwellers in our mind that is plaguing us, and there are these things haunting us, aka patterns that are running around in a circle, and that kind of runs to like 6. The Sabian symbol of this is a merry-go-round, so it's exactly that. It's running around in a circle over and over and over. This pattern of yours won't kill itself. You have to address it. Okay, so I look to potentially give you some remedies at the end. I also want to say hit the thumbs up and the likes button. Thank you for being here. All right, make sure you join our email list, because our email list, we're giving out written forecasts that are actually much more in depth than this one. So to do that, you download the 60+ page free Dragon Chakra guide. You'll be put on the email list automatically. You'll get a free guide for all 7 chakras and some remedies, some crystals, some recommendations, X, Y, and Z, some overactive symptoms, the imbalances, the hyperactive cues, so much in there. It's like ridiculous. All right, and then hit the thumbs up and the likes button. Let's get into the report and your forecast. Okay, so step 1 we have here is Magha. Magha is a Nakshaktra in Vedic astrology. It's happening at the same time, side by side with the Virgo full moon. Okay, this moon in Virgo is the kind of energy where when you look at Magha, it's where the humility comes from the astrological lens on the Western astrology. Now, in the Vedic lens, this is ruled by the South Node, or what is also known as K2 in Vedic and sidereal astrology. K2 is exactly that. It separates, it cuts things away. It allows us to look at the parts of our ego, and anything that is harmful and not necessary, not serving the higher good or spiritual purposes, it gets cut away, it gets separated, it dissolves. Okay, so we're dissolving this mass body of knowledge when it comes to the ego. Now, the other thing is, this is the deities that run this actually is called the P3s, and the P3s are these deputies, these people of authority, and they only really operate underneath Yama, which is the god of discipline, currently in the sky with Jupiter and Aries in Vedic, okay, while Jupiter is in Taurus and Western. So this is discipline, the discipline it takes in order to Jupiter and Taurus receive our pleasures. The spiritual wisdom is, in order to receive your pleasures, we're going to need habits that are actually sustainable, supportive, and bring harmony, because Taurus doesn't like things that are bringing disharmony. So you have the Jupiter Uranus, I don't want to say it's a conjunction. I think there's something happening with Jupiter and Uranus. I don't know exactly what that is, but I do know the Uranus and Taurus is like, look, it's destabilizing on this full moon. It's destabilizing everything that is not stable, that does not bring us a sense of peace and safety. So we have a lot of spiritual wisdom and protection happening during this full moon in Virgo, and that's something important to know. This Magha is very kingly, it's very royal. It's connected to the Regulus, the fixed star Regulus. Okay, so if you didn't know about that. And the whole thing about this is the dwellers in your mind, the dwellers of the past, the dwellers of your psychological mishaps and things you shoved into the closet and decided, I'm not going to deal with this until later. All those deep dark corners that got really dirty and got smudged and got dust and collected more trauma, more memories, more stuff and distractions all on top of it. All those things are essentially the enemies that we're talking about. These are the things in our subconscious mind, and they've become the unconscious material of the subconscious mind. And so I say material. And it's the kind of thing where Virgo, while the sun is in Pisces, on the sixth house, it is shining light on what do we need to surrender. That's Pisces. Surrender, Pisces. What do we need to surrender as for our habits? Now, Virgo full moon is a very earthly moon, right? It's very like, I'm going to get these things in the earthly realms done. So how do I do that? What do I need to change? And so I'm going to say that with a moon like this, you really want to change up your groups, change up your affiliations, okay? Change up the things that bring you spark and bring you joy. Start being more of a contributor in your group. Start looking at the communities you're in and realize like the light that's being shined is how can you be a service of that group? How can you be a service to that community? How can you be a service to that tribe? What is something unique about you? What's something royal and regal about you? Because again, the Magha is about this very royal, powerful sign. But understand that the power of this moon is inherited, meaning you weren't born with it. You can't survive without the inheritance itself. The gods, the kings, the royalty, they came and gave you the power. Okay, so are you not being humble within that process? This is one of the reasons why Virgo must be humble, where Virgo is a complete master of anything it decides to put his energy towards. So when we look at the moon, this is the people. The moon automatically is the people, but the moon runs the 11th house of Virgo. And so what is that? That's all the people. That's all of the affiliations that pour massive joy and wealth and abundance and things and concepts and solutions for humanity. And the thing about this is we need to look at the enemies, which are the dwellers of our karma, the things we have not fulfilled, worked through, and actually addressed in the physical and the human world, right? So this is like really going to be difficult for like spiritual people where look, I've manifested this and I've cleared this and I've let this go and I've cut this cord. It's like, no, bro, that's not going to work. Like, what did you have to do in the physical world? You can't just cut that person off and just cut communication and think that it's going to work. You have to actually address it and maybe potentially have a conversation with them from the high mind. Because again, the moon is ruling the 11th house for all the zodiac signs, for moon and Virgo, ruling the 11th house. And for back in Leo in Vedic astrology, it's the 12th house. So it's like let go of the ego, 12th house, Leo, and serve the people, 11th house, Virgo. That's the simplicity. So how do you do this? You have to demoralize your enemies. So this looks like starving them. So Virgo is the small intestines, right? When you have an infection or bacteria or fungus in your small intestines, what do you then need to do? The best thing you can do is fast. Starve it. Don't allow it to get damp or water. So that means dry fast. That means no water, no shower, no food, no nothing. Dry it out. Dry it out completely. Take away all of its power. So if it feeds on life, you take the life from it. You take the water from it. Water is life. Earth is life, right? So it's like take all of the liquids, the emotion, take everything from it, and then look at it at this in this dry substance. And in that state, that bacteria, that fungus, it feels demoralized. It doesn't have 100% power. So you do the same thing in your relationships with the enemies that you have in your subconscious and the ways you deal with your karma. You drive them out. Okay, you demoralize them, and then this is what happens. You gotta let the enemies, even if they're reflected out in the world, you gotta let the enemies realize that the odds are way too great and it's impossible for them to win. That's how you demoralize. You let it know, like, look, you will not survive. Period. And that lets them not want to talk to you. So this whole thing is about putting yourself and aligning yourself with the proper authorities, not just like, yo, hey, you're famous. I want to be on your team because I'll be protected. No, not that simple. Um, you got to adjust this in the real world in realistic ways, right? Because you're not going to call Jay-Z up today and be like, boom, and he's going to give you your shield. But you can look at what other things giving you authority in your life. So, okay, boom, if I'm an astrologer, what's giving me authority in my life? The fact that I have the opportunity to say, okay, if you're in the chats, I'm only going to make it to subscribers or I'm only going to make it to members. This is essentially the power inherited, the power given to me. Okay, not my power, the power God gave to me to decide and pick and choose, right? And so when you understand that the power is inherited, you understand that you're in a sense reliant on the person giving that inheritance, right? Once you get cut from the family that's giving you the power, or let's say God, then you basically are left with your ego and your dick in your hands, and it's like, what am I gonna do with this? And it's like, okay, cool, jack off until you're lifeless. and you realize like this doesn't work and it's not sustainable. And this is kind of with Taurus and the sexual energy, so it's like it comes to a halt. We're coming to a major halt within the family, within the love, and within our projections. All of these things are coming to a major halt. And the reason is because Mercury is in Pisces. Again, what we're letting go, okay, what we're surrendering, what we're doing so with compassion, love, and joy, what we're letting go is the fourth house and the seventh house. So while it's combust, it has to serve the sun. So I'm going to do a sun combust Mercury Saturn video later. Um, but those are some key elements while Saturn is in Pisces, to understand that these boundaries, these borders are being let go. You got to find ways to be more compassionate in these relationships. So this is essentially how you're going to defeat the enemy without actually taking damage along the way. This is the key thing. I got a lot of this from Victor Kara when I looked up his series on the Magha Nakshaktra. So how do you beat your enemy without having to get a scratch or a wound on you? That's essentially what the Nakshaktra is trying to inform us. So how you do this in a way that's flawless, aka Virgo, who's flawless, which is why the Virgo and the Leo link together on these two, is to demoralize them, demoralize your karmas, make them realize that they no longer have power over you. So let's move into the forecast, and then I'll help you understand on a deeper level how you could demoralize them in each area of your chart. Thank you for hitting the likes and the thumbs up. Make sure you check out our applications. Okay, but first and foremost, hit the likes and the thumbs up. If you made it to this point, I want you to drop a Pisces or a Virgo. The choice is yours down in the chat. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Virgo full moon. This one is very exciting for me. We have a couple of things I'm going to line up and tell you. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nakshaktra, Magha Nakshaktra, which is what's happening in Vedic, alongside with what's happening, aka the full moon in Virgo. So this moon in Virgo is a transit of the dwellers of your past coming up, and you're going to see this more and mostly reflected through the psychological parental influences that have basically plagued your life, and the control that you wish to have over these demons of yours developed and created, which mostly get reflected through the seventh house, aka the people you come in contact with, the people you love. But you're going to notice as well that this is going to be in your interactions and communications with your aunts, uncles, siblings. They're going to be pretty much, it's cousins and as well. It's definitely cousins as well. These relationships are going to be strained because during this full moon in Virgo, you have Mercury, which is combust. It's completely burnt out. All right. I think by the 24th, it'll be completely burnt out. So until March 2nd. Second, you have Saturn, which is us looking at these disciplines and essentially move deeper into spirituality by setting borders so that we can essentially operate in a borderless state of being. And they're both serving the sun, and the sun in this is Pisces. The sun in Pisces is going to be ruling the sixth house of Pisces for the next month or so. And so again, this is the sunlight shining down on, hey, all of the stuff from the esoteric realms that you were able to ignore pretty easily on this Virgo full moon, we're now shining light, okay, on how your dreams and aspirations and the things you say you want, the things you say you claim for, the joy, your spark for life, the reasons that make you want to get above the top, is going to kind of knock you down a notch. There's going to be a lot of borders, a lot of impedances on this full moon in Virgo. So let's get deeper into that. But before I do, I just want to remind you all that the early bird is coming up February 23rd, before this full moon, all right, for the Sacred Innovators Reality. We're running at 8 weeks. So check down the link below. Make sure you apply. The application is free. And the survey you get, the questionnaires you get that help us to help you after is free. And then even if you decide to do it later, I want you to just understand that As long as you got your application in prior, we're going to honor the early bird price. We don't start until March 23rd. That's a month later. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, Aries, here we go. The dweller of your karma is simple as this. It's your psychological negativity. Not spending enough time in gratitude and reflecting and stepping back. The moon ruling your fourth house. Reflecting, stepping back, and actually chanting what you're grateful for. Writing, physical, sixth house is your transit, what you're grateful for. Writing down uh, the things that are bringing you pain, writing down the things that have made you angry, writing down the areas where you have not set up proper boundaries, understanding that now you have to put those boundaries into action because Virgo is an action orientated mindset on in earth. What can I change? And what I can tell you is, as an Aries, clean your house. If you clean your house, you will realize that very quickly it will link and show you in the physical world how this dweller of your karma of negative psychological thoughts are getting cleansed out from the karmic space. Clean your house. That's the best thing. And I mean the corners, the nitty gritties. Get a rag and get a toothpick or get a toothbrush and do the little things that don't seem like they needed to be cleansed in the last 5 years, and then do it. Behind the fridge, under the stove, get in all those corners. And along with that, make sure you're taking in positive content and positive mindsets of affirmations to get your mind to cleanse out the dwellers of this karma. That's what I have for you, Aries. Taurus, here's what we're doing. We're cleansing out the romances. We're cleansing the dwellers of karma that you've had in non-committal relationships and relationships where there was a high buy. They gave you affection, they gave you appreciation, but that affection, appreciation wasn't something that was actually serving you from your own individual thought process and what you needed to start thinking as an individual rather than thinking with the other person. Right now, this is about where have you tolerated way too much, and you have this high sense of tolerance, but at the end of the day you have to always bring back the understanding of the love for yourself. This Virgo full moon wants you to essentially cleanse out your romances and cleanse out the ways in which you have not taken risk, okay, on sharing your ideas and cleansing out your ideas, especially if they are linked and tied together with a sibling, sister or brother. This is a huge, huge one that is going to show you where have your sister and brother influenced you, or your cousins, where have they influenced you in a way that has completely put you in a state of feeling disempowered, disheartened, okay, and is now bringing illumination of this is part of your karma. They have been dwelling in your mind of why you have accepted X, Y, and Z. Shine light on what it takes to be very confident in the fact that you have an inherent power, an inherent gift, an inherent sense of royalty that wants to return. All right, Taurus? I love you. Hit the thumbs up and the likes button, Taurus. If you made it to the end of this, I want you to drop the Taurus bull symbol down in the chat. Let me know you're a Taurus. Okay, Gemini, here we go. Gemini, you're transiting the fourth house, and the moon is ruling your second house. So, Gemini, what are the dwellers of karma for you? Quite frankly, right now, this is one of the things that are hidden, but is definitely in the psychological parental influence on your mind, on what it means to retreat, how you retreat. I'm getting marijuana, maybe time to take a break, especially if it is become such a habit that it's a pleasure at this point that has become overly hedonistic and essentially controlling your mindset. And it might not be marijuana, it might be alcohol. Okay. I feel like it's a drug. It might be coffee, right? It might be television. Anything you're addicted to is classified as a drug. It might be sex. What is that drug in your life, Gemini, that you have used to, and there's a karma that's dwelling, okay, and ultimately affecting your psychological process, creating more negativity when it's time for a positive mindset to essentially emerge through from behind the shadows, behind the veil. Gemini, this is what I have for you. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a Gemini symbol and zodiac sign down in the chat. Let me know you're here. I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, Cancer, here's what we have for you. The moon is transiting your third house on this Virgo full moon. And obviously the moon is ruling your first house, as you are innate to this goddess, Artemis, Selene, Meme. And so the moon ruling your first house, you're going through a fluctuation, right? On an identity level. And that identity is asking for a cleanse. What karmas are dwelling, okay, in your mind? What karmas are dwelling in the mindset? What karmas are dwelling that are negatively impacting your ability to share with your peers your true self, who you are outside and behind the veil that you have put out to the world, with your coworkers, with the enemies that you think are enemies outside of yourself, but are really enemies inside of your mind. They are mental disturbances that are happening. And Virgo wants to shine light on this to have you let go so that you can step back into your inherent power. Okay. So in order to do this, it's time to demoralize the negative mindsets through things like mantras or speaking more positivity in your life, speaking more gratitude, saying things with a grateful demeanor, saying things with more courage about who I am and how you decided to identify in this current stage as you shift and fluctuate once again, Cancer. So if you made it to the end of this, I want you to just drop down a crab or a Cancer symbol. I like the crab better. Drop the crab, but you could drop the Cancer too to let me know you made it to the end of this chat. All right, Cancer? So, Leo, here we go. What is going on for you? You are transiting the second house. Now, the moon rules your 12th house, obviously. So, you're one of the stars. If you watched the beginning of this, you would have learned that Magha Nakshaktra is the one happening right now in Vedic. And the moon transiting your second house, the moon is a very lustful energy that when you look at your pleasures, are they stabilizing you? When you look at what hedonism means for you and what you do to engage in hedonistic adventures, excuse me, are they bringing you stability? Do they destabilize you? Okay. What can you change in your daily habits and routines to essentially change that pleasure, which might actually start to create a source of income that you're able to earn? This earned income is actually a blessing that God has been waiting to give you, Leo. And it's important for you to understand what part of your ego do you need to let go in order to actually receive this blessing. How can you start to open up the different fixed parts of your body? I'm getting literally starting to move the body. Qigong will be a marvelous and wondrous thing, considering 12th house, second house. The physical body is second house. 12th house is where the moon is ruling. By moving in a spiritual routine, in habitual manner, you will essentially deal with these dwellers of karma from your past life, of how you have utilized your sexual energy, your relationship energy, in a way that is actually counterproductive to what you say you want and to what you have and what you want to have and what you want to earn. All right, Leo. So if you made it to the end of this, I want you to drop a Leo or a sun sign down in the chat just to let me know that you made it. And I want to say thank you. I appreciate you for hitting the likes and the thumbs up button. Virgo, you are one of the stars of the show. Obviously, the moon is ruling your first house while you're here. And beyond that, one of the magical places, the place of joy, the moon, for Virgo, you also are ruling your 11th house of massive organizations that want to bless you and support you, Virgo. So here's the question, Virgo. In order for you to be supported, are you willing to look at the dwellers of karma, which are actually old identities through multiple and various life cycles of when and how you were supporting others? And what was your supporting role? Were you supporting others, or were others actually supporting you? This is a question that I feel only you can answer in the moment. But Virgo, I imagine that you've had a lot of people support you through many, many lives, which is why, Virgo, you're now here as a part of the Virgoan archetype to become more of a service to others, to become a complete master in a particular field. In order for that to happen, Virgos, you will benefit mostly by letting go of the last identity that you've identified with, especially in the spaces of family, Okay, however families may have structured and controlled your actual persona and personality will be reflected in the enemies you see out in the real world. Now, start dealing with those enemies in the real world by dealing with them alone within yourself, so that you can better show up in the groups and organizations that you actually came here to be a master supporter for and of. All right, Virgo, if you made it to end, I want you to drop down the Virgin symbol. All right, drop down the Virgoan archetype and zodiac sign down below in the chat. Just let us know you're here, and thanks for the support. I want to say thank you for hitting the thumbs up and the likes button, Virgo. We'll see you soon. Don't forget about the early bird. Okay, now we have Libra. Libra, what's going on for you? Libra, you're running your 12th house, and the moon is ruling your 10th house of career. So Libra moon ruling the 10th house of your career. Okay, during this Virgo full moon, while you are in the, I gotta say it one more time, while you're in the 12th house, okay, yeah, it's time to potentially let go of a job, and if not a job, it's time to let go of the entire system and mythology of what you were doing and how you were doing it with other people. You've had a way in which you used to relate to other people and how you want to give or balance things out. I want to say that it's time to actually probably let go of believing the story that you're a balanced character and that you're here to always people please. You know that's not true. You've been known as not true, but now it's actually time to surrender to the fact that you have an inherent power, you have an inherent greatness, and there's karmas that are dwelling for you while the transit is through your 12th house. These karmas are actually stupendous right now. Mercury is combust. Saturn, which where your exalted is combust as well. This is running your 11th, your 10th, your 4th, and your 7th. So at the end of the day, what I'm getting through this is, in all sincerity, it's time to accept that you are spiritually protected when it comes down to letting go of a certain relationship, as well as the control that your family dynamic has on you and how you relate to other people and how you share and balance out your time, your energy with other people, your abilities to heal by being in other people's presence. There's something in that conditioning process that has been controlled longer than it needed to be, and ultimately it's actually impacting your true aspirations, as well as the next career that's trying to burst through and form for you. I seen a bird come by. So hear that message, Libra. That's what I have for you. Yeah. Already the throat. It's time to serve the king. Okay, it's time to meet these dwellers of the past, Libra. You have karmas that are dwelling in this behind the veil spot. It's been hidden from you, but the moon will shine light on these karmas. They will shine light on these hidden enemies that are actually preventing you from the true fulfilling prophecy, vocation, and career that you're here and born to do. All right, Libra? I'll see you soon. I love you. Scorpio, okay, this is a good one for you during this Virgo full moon. It's transiting your 11th house. The moon is ruling your actual 9th house. So when you look at the mother and the belief systems that she kind of instilled into you about how you can actually share God's idea with other people while still also finding a way to balance the ego between your own primitive needs and the needs that God essentially assigned for you in this life cycle to serve for others is coming into a full illumination. In order to understand that, it's time to look at what are the dwellers of your karma when it comes to dealing with how you share your energy, how you allow or don't allow yourself to be intimate with a group, an organization, or a tribe. Okay? The way in which you do this, it's time to actually demoralize the enemy. So the question is for you, who is the enemy? Is it somebody outside of yourself, or is it somebody deep within you? You are sitting on a throne. You have inherited a tremendous amount of power, a tremendous amount of influence. All right? But it's time to look into your own psychology, understand what are the parental influences on your psychology, on how you relate with other people, balance out X, Y, and Z, share them intimately and without judgment, as also without control. The control is the key. Can you meet and respect that you have karma with control, a lack of it, or exerting it over the top? If and when you do that, Scorpio, you'll realize that you have a tremendous opportunity to surrender these karmas, surrender these dwellers, okay, and your subconscious and your unconscious, and ultimately come off on top and receive everything that you've been dreaming of. But you got to let go of control first, all right, Scorpio? If you made it to the end of this, I want you to drop down a scorpion or a fire emoji or a bird. And now I didn't tell this for anybody else, so that's going to be special for you. I like the fire and the bird, letting you know that you are in this rebirth pure stage, or an ego and fire. You're in this ego stage, seeing from the high side, because the 11th house is to see from that elevated position above the mountain where the ego floats. All right, Scorpio, I love you. If you made it to the end of this, drop that ego and that fire emoji down in the chat. Now we have Sagittarius. You're running through your 10th house and the 8th house. This is a huge one because we're talking about the dwellers of karma. Virgo full moon is in your 10th house of career, praxis, the life system that you've set up or haven't or need to, and the 8th house of the psychological motivations and deep-seated desires of the people. You, Sagittarius, are naturally in tune with the desires of other people because you can see with your third eye through any and all illusions as well as through the dark. Now, when you do this, it's time to look through the dark at your karma and understand what kind of career karma do you have out in the public. Why did you come back here to speak and to be vocal with your boundaries, to be vocal with these things are traumatic? What are the traumatic things that you see currently being reflected outside in your life? What does that projection look like? And can you accept that projection and finally put them to rest? 8th house is where things come to die. So the moon ruling your 8th house here, things are dying, completely shut out before they be reborn in the 9th house. And Sagittarius, this is a beautiful thing because you like to rise from the ashes. You are the most critical piece to Scorpio's rebirth. To stay and remain optimistic about what God has revealed as for your next career. There is an inherent power within you. There is a way that you know how to rise above the nonsense out in the public world where there is a tremendous amount of strife and struggle and responsibility in the world at large that you have as somebody who's vocal and willing to say, like a fire sign, what needs to be said in a courageous way. But it has to be deeply linked to your desire. And in order to do that effectively, it's time to look at your karma and the dwellers in your subconscious and unconscious mind, and essentially let go of the things that are no longer serving you, which may be a career or an intimate relationship. All right, if you made it here, I want you to drop the arrow, Sagittarius, or I want you to drop the Sagittarius symbol to let me know you're here and support the channel. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up and the likes button. Capricorn, here we go. Capricorn, you are running through the 9th house. Of course, you are trining this moon, which is a very harmonious aspect. And the moon is running your 7th house, of course. So Virgo full moon for you, trining in the 9th house, is the type of thing where you have the opportunity to shift your political as well as spiritual views. As an earth sign, you can sometimes be too grounded and forget that you are one of the joys that happens in the 12th house of Saturn. which means you have the natural ability to step outside the boundaries and borders. You have the ability to listen to the collective unconscious as for what are the needs. You're naturally in tune with the needs of other people, and you naturally attract people who want your help and your support, Capricorn, because you are the stability that they benefit from. So in this Virgo full moon, you're probably coming into realization that I am the stable support for other people in significant one-on-one relationships. I am a natural therapist. I am one who brings a sense of hope to the people that I interact with. So Virgo full moon is asking you to look at the dwellers of your karma, who in your subconscious mind is dwelling, holding back that hope mindset, that positive and optimistic outlook. The way you support other people and become a stable backbone for them, can you in return do that for yourself? Can you then do that for yourself so that you can better do it in a willing fashion? Bird, hear the message, for yourself. If you made it here, I want you to drop the GOAT like you are, because there's an inherent power once you address these dwellers of your karma. Stop going around the merry-go-round circle and address this karma. Stop being such a, I don't want to say this because I don't actually know what that means in the moment, but stop being so gloomy. Now is not a gloomy time for you. Now is a time of gratitude. I highly recommend you take your home, you sit down, and you start writing, what am I optimistic about? What am I grateful for? At least 5 things each day. Because Virgo in this full moon is saying, can you do something and change something and do it ritualistically? All right, drop the GOAT down in the chat. If you made it to the end of this, order Capricorn emojis, hit the thumbs up and the likes button, Capricorn. I want to say thank you for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. You're the GOAT. Don't ever forget it. Aquarius, you're running through the 8th house and the 6th house. Aquarius, the 8th house is a very dark house. This is one of the houses that loves to dive deep into the occult. And so this is a magical time, because this full moon in Virgo is all about meeting the dwellers of your past. Can you see the karmas that are dwelling in your unconscious mind and the ways in which you're trying to control these different karmas? Because you can play mental gymnastics with just about anything, including the divine, or so you think. It's time to let go of playing these mind games with yourself, Aquarius, and essentially really take a strong look at what's fixated. And it likely is a passion or an intimate partner or even a debt. If you owe a debt to somebody or something, which could potentially be a debt to your own psychological makeup, and the ways in which you start letting go of negative thought patterns. This is going to be something tremendous and wild for you to become a better servant out in reality. Can you realize that you have an inherent power and realize that you have the ability to demoralize anything and anybody? And what needs to be demoralized in this point right now are the traumatic thoughts that you have been cycling. Let them go. Allow them to step out of the merry-go-round cycle and essentially get on to a new ride, a new passion, and surrender the old one. And that's going to show you that you are here for a great work that is so much far beyond what you've been previously obsessing about. All right. If you made it to this, I want you to drop a lightning bolt. Nobody else has that. A lightning bolt or the Aquarius symbol. And I want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you, Aquarius. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up and the like button, supporting another dream like we are here to do for you. And finally, we have Pisces. Pisces, we're running through your 7th house on this Virgo full moon, and your 5th house is the ruler for the full moon in Virgo. So here's what we have for you. Okay, you have a tremendous amount of praise coming up for you, Pisces, and a lot of appreciation for the work and the healing that you've been doing just by being yourself. Every time you come in contact with somebody, you are healing. Now the question is, can you address the dwellers of your karma and actually put them to a halt? Get off the merry-go-round, get off the cycling circus and circus wheel, and actually look at how you are such a natural healer. Just by being in somebody's presence, you have this aura that expands 100 feet high, 75,000 feet wide. And everybody that comes in contact with you, everybody has an individual conversation with you one-on-one, they naturally feel better. You start taking their suffering, you take their pain. It's a very natural thing. But part of the dwellers of your karma is saying, well, can you learn to do that and still be logical about how you set the boundary, about how you actually separate from the control that other people have had over you, because they know that they're going to feel better when they come around you. They're going to be more hopeful. They're going to feel more inspired. They know that. But do you know that? Do you respect that? That's likely one of the karmas that's dwelling for you. Are you willing to be very logical in the way in which you separate from the family control, the family conditionings, and actually be yourself for once? Even if you're going to change again, like the mutable water you are, be wise around who you surround yourself with, the friends and the connections you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with confident people, Pisces, you'll become confident. Surround yourself with intelligent-minded people, you become that intelligent-minded person. Surround yourself with party goers, alcohol, and X, Y, and Z, you will become that addict. And your psychological mindset will suffer as a result of it, Pisces. So, are you willing to look at how your karma has been dwelling in relationships, as well as how you feel confident in showing up in those relationships as, well, this is who I am. Even if it has changed, this is who I am now. This is who I am. This is who I am. I'm confident in myself. And I'm so confident in myself that I no longer accept your projections. And I will actually be the bright light and heal without me suffering in the process. And if you made it to the end of this, Pisces, I want you to not drop the fish emoji, because the fish is the one who runs away from conflict. Pisces, this is what time frame for you, where part of your karma that's dwelling is likely saying, in order to demoralize your enemy, which is yourself, you'll actually need to stop running away from the conflict. You have to stand up, be bold, be strong, be courageous, be tremendously brave in your relationships, in your one-on-one interactions, Pisces. And that is how you will demoralize your enemy to the point where you'll walk out unscathed, where you'll take the willpower out of them to want to go ahead and snatch and steal from you in ways that are just moralistically wrong. All right, if you made it into this, I want you to drop the Pisces, or I want you to drop a halo to remind you that God is always on your side. It has always been on your side. Drop the halo or angel emoji, or a wing. I like the angel wing as well, to let me know you made it to the chat and support the channel. Thank you, Pisces. I'll see you all soon.